everyone. This is Adlane Fellah, your favorite chief analyst at Maravedis Research. Today, I have the pleasure to welcome Rob Britt, who's the MFE sales director. MFE standing, of course, for Multifamily Executive. Hello, Rob. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of your newsletter, some of your content, and we're here today to talk about your upcoming conference in Newport Beach, California on November 4th to November 6th. And so I haven't been to any of your events in the past, and maybe some of the audience hasn't. Can you tell us about this upcoming event, kind of the highlights of it?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Hard to believe November is upon us already, but we actually have two events in one in Newport Beach at the Via Hotel,
Okay.
and it's the Multifamily Executive Conference. And then we have an event that's co-located called MFE Connections, which is a hosted buyer event, buyer seller matchmaking reverse trade show. There's a lot of different names for that. But yeah, it's going to be at a boutique resort that's a Marriott property in Newport Beach. It's right near Fashion Island. A little bit more of an upscale experience. And that's tends to be where we do best with our audience, which is primarily senior level owners, developers, owner operators in the multifamily space.
Yeah. Tell us, how big is the event expected and what are the profiles of those property owners, developers?
Yeah, it's primarily that VP level and higher. We're looking at about 400 total attendees for the event, and we have a really strong ratio of it's mostly going to be the owner operators, developers. We have some general contractors in the space for multifamily as well as architects, and then we have some sponsor partners that will send colleagues from companies like Yardi, AT&T Connected Communities, a company called Lumen, which is a big broker and lender in the space. Those are the typical sponsor attendees that come out to the event.
Okay, cool. Hi, everyone. This is Adlan Fellah, Chief Analyst at Maravedis Research. I'm very excited today to present to you our new MDU Connectivity Research annual subscription service for 2025-2026, starting Q4 2025. The service comprises a number of deliverables, starting with the quarterly research reports focusing on each of the sub-segments composing the MDU market. Each quarterly research reports will be followed by a client-only analyst briefing to answer any questions you may have. Optionally, you can also get access to two Maravedis Market Score reports, one dedicated to MSPs and the other to wireless LAN vendors, that are combining information from NPS score and market sentiment. Those are very unique because they're specific to MDU, and information is coming from online service from the market. And finally, you get access to ongoing support throughout the year with me. Thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to answering any further questions. So what's in it for them? I mean, why do property owners bother to come and travel there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, there's 110 events on the multifamily calendar that I track. I'm
Already.
sure there's a lot more, but last year around this time, I put a spreadsheet together just to see, post-pandemic, so many new events launched. And a lot of those are in the technology space and multifamily where that intersection is. And why senior level executives would come to our event is a combination of things. Is first and foremost is to network with colleagues who are their peers, is to kind of get a sense of the pulse on what's going out there in the industry. We do spend a lot of our energy in programming the event in order to draw a lot of these conversations out amongst peers. That's not always the driving factor for a CEO to attend, or to a COO, or someone's the head of acquisitions. A lot of times they're really there primarily for that networking piece. But what they often come to find is that the interactions that they have post session, really become highly valuable, networking and connection points for them at the event. So it's been a challenge. One of the big ways in which we're differentiating out there, this is the first year that we are not having an expo at the event. We've always had a small expo, but even so, with the attendee profile, what we're finding out is just that's not, it's just difficult to pull off that type of an exchange, which is why we have this MFE Connections event co-located. Is that type of a format is just much more easier to facilitate in connecting buyers and sellers rather than the expo format, at least in our case, in that model.
Okay, got you. That's useful. Now, our audience is has a lot of people in the technology space, and what content, if any, would be about connectivity and prop tech during the event?
Yeah, great question there. If you look at our agenda, a lot of what we're focused on tends to be much broader in scale. So we're not going to be, the content we have is going to look a lot different from an optech or from like a broadband properties, where you're really diving deep into all the aspects of connectivity and broadband service and all the issues, the
Right.
legal issues that are behind that. And really what we're looking at is much broader content offerings that deal with development, finance, and then broader in the field of operations. So while we're not going to deal with it specifically, it will come up as a recurring theme. I mean, anytime you're talking about resident happiness and to get a return on investment out of that, I mean, the cornerstone of resident happiness is around connectivity. So all these other amenities, or many of the amenities being offered today in the tech space, are not able to be, imagined without a base level of connectivity. As you know, and so at our event, it's not as much geared towards that deployment as it is the kind of the broader overall, how do I run my property? How do I make my property more appealing to certain demographics? And then how am I going to finance that next new deal? So those tend to be the real driving forces in getting those types of attendees to our event.
Okay. Are there any particular speakers you want to highlight that you're really excited about the event?
Yeah, definitely. We have, one of the highlights of our event every year is our CEO panel, and, where we take a broad, 40,000 foot view of the industry. And this year we have Bob Hart from True America. We have Angela Kleiman from Essex Property Trust on that panel. So they're going to touch on a lot of topics in not only the operations side, capital markets, interest rates, what we're seeing in trends as far as, moving towards potentially hospitality models in multifamily. So that's always a big highlight in, getting to hear from those folks. But we'll also have, folks like Ziv Cohen at Resmar Companies. We have Corey Jeans from Middleburg. So, not still, really important, influential executives out there. Jennifer Stakiokis from Western Wealth Management is going to be on a panel. So yeah, just to name a few, those are big. John
Cool.
Seabury, who is with Lumen, is going to be giving his multifamily market outlook. He's brought quite a bit of research expertise into Lumen's organization, which has been primarily focused on being a lender in the space, but they're also growing their, brokerage and advisory services portion of that business as well. And they're doing so, with a keen eye on providing research to clients and prospective clients out there.
Okay. Anything else you want to share before we end?
Yeah, no, that's, there's other events. I'd invite everybody to check the agenda out. There's a little bit of something for everyone. I probably highlight a couple other things. We have a women's networking lunch. That's going to be hosted this year by Lori Lyons from CLS Living, primarily a student housing provider out there in the space. And we'll also have a big awards ceremony and session where we recognized our leaders, our Hall of Fame award winner, and as well as our Executive of the Year. And then we also talk about numerous projects of the year that we highlight in our magazine and on our website.
Okay,
So yeah,
and
that's
maybe you raised an interesting aspect. Is this a market rate event mostly, or are you going to touch on senior living and affordable housing or student housing?
Yeah, we will be. We do touch on. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I mean, that's probably, it is known to be a market rate multifamily event, but
Okay.
if you look at the agenda, there'll also be quite a bit of adjacent types of properties, from student housing to build to rent. Seniors housing is a definitely that 55 plus demographic. We have a session just geared on that. Affordable housing. We have a sister publication and event called Affordable Housing Finance,
Mhm.
that we bring a lot of expertise into the affordable market. And if you look now at where a lot of big equity investment is coming into the space, it's via the low-income housing tax credit. So we'll also be touching on some of the affordable housing opportunities out there for developers who might be, more driven towards market rate in the past.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you, Rob. So just a reminder, the Multifamily Executive Conference taking place November 4 to 6 in Newport Beach, California. And I hope you have a great conference.
Yes, Adlane, thank you for hosting me today. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you. My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
See you. Bye-bye.